Hi, thanks for joining me for another video for making your own coloring sheets. Normally we see these for adults again, but children can make these as well. I think I have more fun making these than I do coloring them in. So give it a try, get them involved. It's a really fun project. Now what you'll need is just an 8.5 by 11 sheet of copy paper. Unlined paper is best. Don't use fancy art paper because with these we're just using coloring pencils or you're using crayons, so you don't need to use any expensive paper. And you're going to fold the paper in half. Fold it in half and then fold it in half again, and then you'll have this size. And you can actually do 4 on here. This is the fourth one that I'm going to do. I recommend that you do at least 4 at a time before coloring them in. So that means you'll fold it in half, fold it in half again. That'll give you this quarter of a sheet. You can do 4 on one side, 4 on the other side. I usually don't recommend doing 4 on the opposite side because sometimes you may like these and you may want to frame it. Yes, frame it. You can pick frames from the dollar store and frame these, especially if children are doing them. This is really a great self-esteem builder. They can create their own coloring sheets, color them in, creating a gorgeous piece of artwork, and then frame it. So what you'll need is a paper. You'll need an ink pen, either black or blue ink, and make sure it's, try to get fine, a fine tip. The medium tip may be a little too big to go into the stencil to give you the details. Now your stencils can be anything. There are a lot of stencils out there because they were made for one painting on surfaces, especially like walls and fabric. And they're also used for, what do you call it? Scrapbooking. But as an artist, you can use almost anything you can get your hands on to create a work of art. So this is by Jot, and it's a wheel. And it has several on here, several different stencils on here. The great part about this is it has this opening here. So you turn this to which one that you want. It's in the opening, and generally you use a stencil brush with stencil paint, and you paint inside of this, and it creates a gorgeous piece of art on something. When you flip it over, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different little sceneries that they have, scenes that they have. But for what we're going to use, you can break these up and use them however you want. That's a Jot one. This one is Crafter Square. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4. It has 8. This is a feather. So it depends on what it is. The other one was butterflies. This is a feather, but it has the same premise, that opening there, and that's what you will use to focus on. You just turn the dial to reveal which object you want underneath, and it keeps your focus on that one there. So that's really nice. I kind of like these. I saw these the first time I saw them, so I grabbed a couple of those. They can have any kind of design on it. This one has 4 squares, and it reminded me of this one that I picked up. And I picked this up, I think, at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or something like that. And it has 6 different stencils with different patterns on it. But again, you can pick them up almost anywhere. Art supply store, 5 and dime, dollar store. I think Walmart has them, Target has them, stores like that. These are Plaid brand. Plaid is well known for stencils and crafting paints. They've been out quite a while. So they have those. This came out of a children's printmaking kit or something, some type of toy. But they have all shapes and all sizes. This one says Stencil Manila Delta. Delta is another one. They had paints too. So they have some really nice things that they come out with. Some of them, the stencils like this one is really, the plastic is really thin. So when you're tracing the outline of the stencil, it'll move. Pieces of it may move. So you want to just pay attention to that while you are making your coloring paper or coloring sheet. All right, so we have our sheet here. I folded in quarters, and I have my ink pen here, and I have my stencils. I looked at them and decided which one I want to do. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a combination. These have like the paisleys on them. I thought it was so interesting. I like that. And I may do one with just the paisleys, but what I'm going to do is I saw this one that has a mandala on it. And I'm going to do the mandala on here. And I'm trying to decide. Of course, I bring the mandala, the main one. I bring it to center, and then I take it off center a bit, up or down, left or right, so that it is not in the very center of the page. I do not want it in the very center of the page because it will pull too much attention. I'm going to let the coloring of the page draw the attention of the viewer instead of the placement of them. So this is a mandala. It's really, really intricate. And I'm going to put this on here, and then I'm going to use a couple of the little paisley things to add some more interest. Hold your stencil down. By the time you trace this out, it will take you about the same amount of time to get the tape and tape it down for placement. So you don't want to do that. And all you're going to do is just come in here and start tracing the outlines. This one is really... Now this ink pen, it is not fine, and so it's not picking up all of the pattern. What's happening is it's forcing me to make some of these patterns too small. But if it's a fine point, you will pick up more of the detail than you will on this. And just work your way around. And again, this is a mandala, and it is symmetrical all the way around. And now I'm going to do the outside. And because of the size of this ink pen, it is not as, the pattern is not as open as I would have liked it to be. Which means if, when the process of coloring it in starts, the area to color is going to be really, really thin. That's what will happen. It'll be really thin. And to do it correctly, you probably need to have a really sharp pencil lead on your color pencil. So it's very important that you have a fine tip. Now look at that. Gorgeous. That is gorgeous. And again, they're really small, so I would offset it here. I'm only going to do a small amount here. And what is on here, I'm running it off the page. It creates a lot of interest when you run it off the page. So don't be afraid to run it off the page. That means letting part of the stencil hang off, so you're not going to have the complete picture of the stencil over here. But you just go right ahead and trace it. It creates interest. It's a repeated pattern. sort of like when you did the doodling. And that's there. Look at that. Oh, gorgeous. These are so easy to do, and they work really well for building self-esteem. So this one is hanging off the page. It's not very much. This is my main one, so I'm going to have that in full view. And this one, I'm going to let part of it hang off the page too. And I'm just looking at the placement of it. Usually you want to place it like a triangle, but when there's 3 pieces there, it's always a triangle. So I'm going to pull it over here about there. I want it to be a size in between these two. So that'll be the smallest, that'll be the largest, and this is in between the two. And I'm going to come over here and do that tracing all over again. This is all you're doing, just tracing it. You're not doing anything special. Nothing at all. Just tracing. You're taking the time to get in the moment. Focus only on what you're doing. Either listening to the sound that the pen makes as it moves around the stencil or as it moves on the page. And that in itself will create a therapeutic moment. It's a mindfulness moment. A moment of focusing on the here and now. You just take your time, and it will allow you the time to relax as if you were coloring in the sheet. Because that's why we color these sheets. They offer a moment to still the mind, especially if the mind is overwhelmed and bogged down with many, many, many things during the day. And there, look at that. Beautiful. Now, I was going to use something off of here, but the way that is floating around, that may take away from it. And therefore, I don't want to do that. I have here, it's a little circle here. I want to put everywhere. That's what I'm going to do. That is much better, I think, than what I was going to do. I'm going to randomly throw these out there, just placing them willy-nilly, twisting and turning the page. I kind of like that, and I want to do another circle that is larger than that one though. And one of these other stencils has circles on it. Just a circle. And you'll find that when you're doing these, sometimes it comes out like that. There's something in particular that you just want to do, go for it. But I think this larger circle will go really nicely in here. I think that will look really nicely in there. Look how that's making it pop. It's giving it a variety when you switch it up. There's another one in here. And all I'm doing is just taking a moment to see where the empty spaces are, like here and here. So I'm going to run one off the page here. And I'm going to place one in the middle there. Perfect. I could put another big one here, but I think it will go better with a little one instead of a big one. I think a little one would go better there, so I need to grab that stencil back again. And that's all you do. You just make a mark and step back and assess it. So a big one in there and running it off the page. I think I love making these more than I love painting them. Great. Now look at that. That's it. I hope you have as much fun making these as I do. Until next time, thank you for joining me.